Devin, we're here today at the launch of the Route 6'6" initiative. Just tell us your thoughts on the initiative, and do you think it's a good idea?
I think it's a great idea. Like, I suppose for any tall person, it's always good. It's always an advantage to have in any sport, I suppose. And it's always good to get out there and get playing a bit of sport, get the joints moving, I suppose. So it's great to get involved as well. Yeah.
I know you wouldn't have exclusively played rugby when you were starting off yourself. You would have played different sports. But why do you think you fell into rugby? 6'10" frame aside.
Well, I suppose I started out playing Gaelic from between Manalvi, but I went to school in Castleknock, so then it was eventual that I was going to end up playing rugby, I suppose. So I started playing as soon as I got there. Well, I started playing Knuckle Air first, then I went to build on there from Castleknock anyway. Yeah.
Mark, you would have played. You would have started off in Westmeath. Obviously, you're both cousins, so you would have been very familiar with each other from day one. But tell us about your own introduction into the game.
Well, initially I was a football player, till I died, basically. And it wasn't until one of my friends kind of nearly dragged me out to the rugby club, and then that's when I kind of got started at the age of, I think it was 14 or so.
Is there a bit of a temptation with tall people who are over kind of 6'6" to be thrown in goals or thrown in defence, and maybe you might be creative and you might want to go into midfield and attack?
This is actually true, because I would have started off my football in goals, but that was at a young age when I wasn't aware of my body, and I just kind of got used to my body and coordination, and when that built, I kind of moved further out the field.
Being cousins would have been quite competitive when you were growing up?
No, it was, yeah. Dev always sets the standard there, he being older, and I've come along after him, so hopefully I can even it up between the two of us.
When you look at the skill set that's required for second row, could you tell us about some of them? Because people might only see the scrum or the line out, but you need to have a bit of an all-round more power and skill set and everything else like that. But what would you think are the specific optimum benefits to have?
I suppose you have to look at all kind of aspects of the game as well. Like, you have to have good hands. You need to be able to move your feet in the line out. You need to be able to run lines off, just basically running lines. So it's a position where you have to kind of have all aspects of your game kind of nailed down and focused. You have to get your body awareness for scrummaging right and line outs as well. So it's really a position that you need kind of all aspects of your game spot on. Yeah.
The great Australian, New Zealand sides would always have maybe used the second row out in the backs as well as a powerful running tool. So is that something you and other second rows you think are trying to emulate in here in Leinster?
Well, I think we're trying to nail down what we need to do right first with the scrum, the line out. Anything happens after that is a bonus anyway.
Mark, when you look at the fact that rugby is a size, it's a game for all sizes, shapes and sizes. Part of this initiative, it's not just about people who played rugby and who might have given up, but it's for people who played any different sport. Basketball is the first sport that maybe springs to mind, and maybe rowing as well. But there's lots other, and from your own point, would you see having played different sports as an advantage maybe for the game rugby?
No, definitely. There's a crossover between sports. Like, your basic skills of catch, run and pass, like they transmit across to rugby, and like aerial skills as well that I brought from football. They're very relevant.
A lot of people talk about the advantage of playing GAA when you're younger because the hand-eye coordination, because of the skills that are required. Do you think that's true?
No, absolutely, and it also gives you like a very good base of fitness as well to work off, so it's good.
When you look at the grounding, the Leinster Academy would have given you the tools for coming out of the Senior Cup rugby and club rugby as well. How much could you cultivate that? Because obviously you'd have kind of grown into your own body through your teens, and then probably when you got to what age would it have been once you actually stopped growing? Or have you stopped?
I think I stopped growing, I'd say, around 4th or 5th year. I was 6'10" around 5th year, I think. So hopefully I've stopped anyway. I've stopped it since then anyway.
Is it difficult though? Like when you talk about your Leinster Academy experiences, is it difficult when you're so tall and you need to kind of get on the body mass and things like that as well?
I suppose it is difficult at the start. Like when I left 6th year, I hadn't really lifted a weight ever. Like, I suppose, but once I got into the sub academy and then next year into the academy. And they really kind of focused on just the basics of weightlifting and how your nutrition, how to put on weight. And so just in the academy it was great for me, just so I got to know my own body and I got to know how to move, I suppose.
Mark, talk us to about, you've made the breakthrough this year into the senior team, having been in the academy for the last year or so, and but talk to us about the advantages of playing professional rugby. Obviously not every player is going to go all the way through to the likes of Devin and represent your country, but I suppose the aspiration and the carrot would be for some people to maybe one day I can do that.
Yeah, it was a great opportunity to come from the academy. Like, I'm really looking forward to making a few strides this year. Like, In terms of my development, I kind of have my own goals, and I'm going to set them out in front of myself and hopefully achieve them next year.
So just finally, why do you think second row is an attractive position to be in, and what do you think are your favourite parts of it? Maybe give us your top two.
I suppose, as I said before, like second row is a great position because you get to be involved in a lot of the parts of the game. You get involved in set pieces of scrum and line out, and you get to be able to run onto the ball when needed. So I'd say my favourite part is probably the line out, though. I have to say catching them high balls, maybe when you get a good crisp restart as well, that's always satisfying anyway.
And for you, Mark?
I'll agree with Devin. There's nothing better than catching the ball at full stretch. But I also like to develop my game, my running game as well, and using footwork as well. I like that kind of thing, like speed work with Dan. I really enjoy that kind of thing, and footwork and agility. I also like that stuff.
So Devin, if you could just name your favourite Irish and overseas second row of all time.
I suppose my favourite Irish is the legend that is Malcolm O'Kelly. When I came in, I learned a lot from him as well, and even when I was growing up I kind of enjoyed really watching him. Favourite overseas player, well, when I started really getting into rugby, Ali Williams was really to the fore in New Zealand, and it's great seeing him back in it, I suppose, now. So I've always enjoyed watching him play.
At home, I suppose it would have been Malcolm. My first year in academy, he was his last year in his senior contract, and he would have helped me an awful lot. I've often had a chat with him about different aspects of the game, and he's always willing to give a helping hand. I suppose overseas would be Victor Matfield. He's a great presence in line out, and I think he's a fabulous leader as well.